Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coffee Chats podcast. Today we have our founder and CEO, Michael Campbell, and my co host, Noah, for another episode. I will give the floor to Noah now, and we'll get right into the episode.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So today we have an interesting interview with Michael, the CEO. We are going to see his paths, understand like where he come from, what he studied, how he arrived, why he created TSS. So yeah, Michael, welcome. Thank you to be here.
Well, thank you very much. No, I'm excited to be here. I'm on the other end. Usually, I'm the one of the ones doing the podcast, but just let me. I'll just give you a brief introduction to me. Um, I am originally from Peoria, Illinois, where I went to school at Bradley, which is in my hometown. Um, and I graduated in 1980 with a degree in business finance. And then in 1983, I moved out to the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's where I have been ever since. But today I'm coming to you from Texas Christian University, TCU, where my son is an academic advisor in the School of Business. Um, let's see, what else can I tell you? I'm sitting here. Reason why I came was, of course, to see my son and his wife Keely, and my granddaughter, which makes me smile. She's about 15 months old, and her name is Zoe. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's amazing.
All right. So I hear you got some questions for me.
Yes. So keeping a little bit of your background, I would like to ask, why did you choose finance? What made you call? Did you have a mentor? Like, or was the decision to study
Oh,
finance?
sure. Very interesting, man. And it was probably for the wrong reason that I chose finance. But when I was at Bradley, I really wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. So I started off as a business administration major. And I just remember walking around in the hall. It was Baker Hall, which is the business. And I kept hearing these guys talk about finance and about how you can make a lot of money and this, that, or the other. So I decided to change my major over to finance. And it was okay until I got to my first statistics class. And then I realized I made a mistake.
We all talk about it.
Oh my God. It still gives me shudders when I think about that. But I decided, and I did graduate with the business finance degree, but I never really used it, Noah, until I started the Street Smarts, which is kind of crazy. Like what, 37 years later, I think, something like that. But I think you asked me, why did I start the Street Smarts? Did you ask me that?
Yeah, also I was going to continue, but yeah, what made you inspired to create TSS? But also like now I understand you use it years after your degree. Like what made you change?
Well, when I what made me change over was the thought of making a lot of money, okay? Which is not the best reason, because sometimes you realize that, ooh, it's a mistake. But what I found with working with students like yourself, um, who kind of have a good idea of what to expect, I didn't know what to expect. So, but what I did do after I graduated, I ended up spending 3 years working in a hospital. I was going to tell you I was an open heart surgeon, but that's not what I did. I worked in the accounting department, and that was actually pretty good. But I decided that I wanted to come out to California, and my brother was living in the Bay Area, so I came out here with him, and then I ended up doing a series of different things. But one thing that I noticed and I kind of knew this before, that I was really a people person. I really enjoyed talking with people and that kind of stuff. So I ended up doing marketing type of things, and kind of went back and forth. But I got my first really good job in 1991, and that's when I started to work for Home Box Office, and it's the same Home Box Office that has, it's cable. Well, I guess it's still cable, but I actually stream it now. But I worked as like a trainer, and what I did was I would go out to the cable systems, and I would meet with the customer service reps, the technicians that would go into the home, and I was like their little bit of Hollywood. Um, I would teach them how to sell HBO, and you would do it, and Cinemax. You would do it with having a good customer service, and knowing what was on the channels and how to talk to people to find out what their needs were. And
Yeah.
so I did that for about a little over 10 years. And then I struck out, but I still, for the next 2 years, I still worked for them, but as a consultant, which was fun. And then I finally left there, did some other entrepreneurial things, and then I ended up working at a hospital in which is like full circle, right? But I wasn't doing accounting. What I was doing was I was working in I was working with older people. I was the manager for the Lifeline department, and what the Lifeline department was is that we um, I don't want to say sold, because we didn't sell it. We were able to get, seniors would wear buttons, and you've probably seen these commercials. Oh, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah.
It was emergency response service, and so I had a staff of 10 people, and 9 of the 10 were actually seniors themselves. And
Wow.
so they would go out, once we got the orders, they would go out and they would actually install the equipment. And I would go out and do that too. And so I learned a lot about older people, which really helped me, because my mom, who's 96 right now, it was a good primer to get ready. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it was a good primer to get ready. And then I ended up leaving there in 2016, and I was trying to decide what it was that I wanted to do. So in 2002, how I kind of made my way into the non-clinical position was I was working with a group of African American doctors and nurses, and I helped them to bring their group into a 501c, and it's still going today, and it's called the African American Wellness Project. I ended up being their executive director for a while, and then I'm now a board member. So I still keep in contact, and it's just great to see how it's grown in the, what is that, 23 years since I helped them get it started. So I knew how to incorporate, but I needed to decide what I was going to do with that. So, which then brings me to how I started the Street Smarts, and it was because of my son, the same son that I'm visiting right now. When he was in between his junior and senior year in high school, he had an opportunity to work at a short only hedge fund called Kingsford Capital Management. And I got my son in there, and how I got him in there is he played basketball. He was a captain of the basketball team.
Mhm.
And one of the other basketball players, his dad ran the hedge fund. And so we got to know them, and I convinced my son to ask Mike if he could come and work for him. And I thought he would just go and, shuffle papers, but he actually started learning about what hedge funds were. And so then the next year, I got another basketball player there. And then, so it was 2014, 2015, and then 2016, I decided that I was going to, try to make a difference and to bring African American, Latino students into the finance industry. So I looked at statistics and I saw that the industry was pretty male and pretty white. And there were like 5% African American, maybe 6 or 7% Latino, about 10% Asian, and women, maybe 40%, maybe something like that. So I decided that I was gonna make a difference, and I had no idea. And if I had to do it again, would I do it? Yes, I would, but I would do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because
What you do differently?
I'm sorry.
What you do differently?
Oh man, I would have had another job while I was there. And there would have been all kinds of things I would have done, because along the way, I ended up for about 6 months. I was an Uber driver, which was actually kind of fun. But then COVID came, and I was like, I'm not having anybody cough on me and give me the cooties. So I stopped. But the thing that was the neatest part about that is that I really learned the neighborhood that I was going. And then I was listening to a lot of different music on Spotify, and I discovered so many different artists. And now I listen to Spotify all the time. So, yeah, I think what I would have done would have been to have had something to augment. But what happened was, and I probably would have done it earlier, but I was able to secure funding right off the bat from my friends at Kingsford, Mike Wilkins and his wife. So by the time that eventually ran out, then I was starting to get the Street Smarts going, but it wasn't called the Street Smarts in the beginning. It was called Joyful Noise, and noise is with a Z. And my thing was we were going to be J Noise, like we were some kind of hip hop group or something. But one of my clients at Blaylock Van, he kept kidding me. You guys sound like you're a musical group, a gospel musical group. And so we ended up changing it, and we kind of put our heads together, the board, and came up with the Street Smarts. And we nearly didn't get that name, because when we applied for the name, there was another organization that was called the Street Smart. I think it was Smarts. And what it was it was a company that taught high schoolers how to drive.
Wow.
So their street was literally street cars. Yeah. And so the only way we could get the Street Smarts was to ask them if they would give it up. And we had been told most companies won't do it, or if they do it, they want money. But when we contacted them and told them what we were doing, they actually let us have it without having to pay. So that's when we went to the Street Smarts.
And what do you like about the name? Like, you only get one.
Well, it can mean so many different things. I think most people, when they hear Street Smarts, it means that you're kind of know your way around life, and you've been around and you have street smarts. Mm-hmm. But the way that we decided to use it was different. And I sometimes, man, I take cues, and I think God just sends me little hints. And this was in 2017. I was at an event for Latinos in finance, and it was my first time there. And I was like, I want to tell these people what I'm doing, because it was all students, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a speaker, and the speaker actually said the words "the street smarts." So then
Wow.
I knew that that was it. So I I raised my hand and I told people what I wanted, and there was a young man there. His name is Luis um, Cortez, and he was in community college, and he at the time was DACA, and so I ended up working with him, and to make a long story short, he was in my second class of interns in 2018, and I ended up getting him like several internships, and he ended up going to Goldman Sachs in IB for 2 years, and he was supposed to go to Stanford, but because I had wrote uh, not a referral, but a recommendation for him, and he got in. But then he decided that he wanted to move to New York, and he moved to New York about 6 months ago, and he got married. So he's no longer DACA; he's a U.S. citizen now. Um, and he works for a firm in New York called Valor, which I believe is a private equity firm. And he is his title is investor. So oh, I'm very, very proud of him. And I probably have about 10 of my interns from California over the years that are now in New York. And most of them, except for one, are in either, I got someone from Charles Schwab. I've got folks in mostly in IB, but I have one young lady who went to PwC, and she just recently got her CPA, and she's just as happy as she can be, and she's in New York. So I've had classes of students every year since 2017. And what's kind of unique about that very first class was 5 of them. One of them went into real estate down in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, his name is Ben Consoli. He started off right out of college, and he had his level 1 CFA before he graduated from the Cal Poly, which is in San Luis Obispo. And he ended up going to a private equity firm, and then he moved down to San Diego with that private equity firm, and then he got spirited away to HCAP Partners, and he got level 3 CFA, and now he's a vice president, and he's like 28 years old. Another one of my students was going to McAllister, which is in St. Paul, Minnesota, and he ended up getting a master's degree in accounting, and now he's in private equity in Chicago.
Okay. And
So
those
it's like it's amazing.
all these students were in TSS at the time.
They were all came through TSS. Yes.
Wow. Wow. So like I imagine like it's been so since 2016 when TSS started to 2025, so almost now 10 years that you started, and I've seen so many changes.
I've seen so many changes, and the biggest change was when we started the TSS Junior Board in 2019, and then it kind of went defunct for a while. Because at the time I was working with Wall Street Bound, which is a nonprofit based in New York. So I kind of put a lot of my TSS stuff on hold. But then I decided that I wanted to bring it back. So I started working, and then I left there and went full time. And 2 of my folks that I brought into TSS to really, I guess, really hone what we were doing. And so, the initial mission of the Street Smarts was to be a conduit to help minority students break into accounting and finance. But now it's still pretty much that, but it is with finance. And I don't say that we just bring in folks that are Latino or African American. We have, I just believe in having a multicultural um, um, organization, and that's exactly what we have.
Yes.
So we don't turn anybody away. If you want to come to our sandbox, please come. And the more people that come, the bigger the organization gets. And then so um, Connor Flynn and Mirzad Glavic were folks that I recruited to Wall Street Bound. They came and joined the junior board, and then they helped me to kind of shape the TSS junior board. And what it became was a student, more of a student-led organization. And then Mirzad and Connor kind of retired. Mirzad is on his way to London, to the London School of Economics. And then Rick, Lee, and Max, and our two Justins helped me to really bring the street smarts into where it is today. And I'm just really excited because it is an organization for students, by students. And I tell them I only have one thing that I'm really strict about, and that is do not embarrass me. So I
No,
can tell you stories, but I don't want them. I don't
yeah.
want them out there. So that's how I got it started, man. And just super, super excited. And like it'll be 10 years. I still can't believe it. 10 years in about 6 more months, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
so at
please.
the beginning, did you start by yourself, or did you have
I started it by myself, and I've been the only employee, but I've always had some help from my executive board. But one of my executive board members, Anad Desai, who at the time was the head of charitable giving for Pincera Securities, he's since moved to Chicago and is with a different company now. And he's one of my advisors in Chicago. But he said, "You really need to get these students involved," and it was through um, him telling me, get the students involved. And so I did a little research and found out about junior boards, and I said, "This is what we're going to do." So that's basically how we started. And my current junior board executive team is just excellent. Rick and Max.
Can you explain for listeners that don't know what it means, junior board?
Yeah, the junior board is made up of students from all over the country, man, from the Bay Area where we started, down in Southern California, both Los Angeles and where you're from, down in San Diego, to Chicago. We have other folks scattered in different places, but we have a lot of concentration of students in Chicago and in New York, especially upstate New York, which is where Justin Z is. He's at Binghamton. And then I've got a lot of kids in New York City and Boston. And now, like I said, I'm in Texas. And so Texas is going to become one of those areas. And there's a bunch of others that I really want to go after, but I don't want to bite off too much. But so what they do as a junior board is, at least the junior board, the way it's set up right now, is they're basically the engine for TSS, and they make it run just like you're here on the podcast. I used to do this myself. I called it keeping it real or something like that. No, I remember real talk with
I
Michael.
love the name.
Yeah. So I still might go back to that, but I remember talking. I brought it up in one of the junior board meetings about wanting to start a podcast, and immediately Max said he wanted to get involved, and so he's now, leading it. And I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of all you all, but he's really working hard, and we're also looking to bring um, the street smarts into Bentley, where Max is. Um,
Yeah, we have many students from Bentley.
so we have a lot of students from Bentley. So we're gonna bring it in there. Rick, our fearless leader, is at Northeastern, which is in Boston. In Boston, and where Bentley is in Waltham, they're about 30 miles apart. And so, yeah, so we're just expanding, but
Yeah.
I really want to get some more stuff. I really want to come down to San Diego, man, to be
I
quite
have to
honest
come one
with
day,
you.
but that's
So,
something I
so LA, oh my goodness, I have students at UCLA, USC, um, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, Cal State Northridge, which is where my son went to school. They call it CSUN, and also Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah,
So
something that I really like when I joined TSS. A friend told me about it, and just seeing like how many diverse students from the country we have, and like I thought we were originally in California because my friend he's studying Fullerton, and then it's like, oh no, we have Bentley, New York, and then Max. When I met him, he was in Europe traveling, so I was like, wow, are we everywhere?
we
But
are everywhere. And when I first met Rick and a couple other of our junior board members, they were in school at Northeastern in London. So it's just like really crazy. So maybe we might get some more students out of there. I'm not
yeah,
sure, but
and how do
yeah,
you?
we are everywhere, man. And we've even had along the way, we've had folks that were in Africa that were on the board. But that was with the other team of students that were leading it.
Mhm.
But I'm just so excited with where we're going to go with this. And I'm going to
How do
actually
you-
retire in about 4 years. So I want to get this thing really humming.
Mhm.
So everybody in there now will probably be out and in school. And I have a feeling I know who wants to run it when I'm done, but I'll keep that one to myself.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but
at the beginning, how do
it's
you?
amazing, man. This is this is something that I think that I was destined to do. And
Mhm.
I work on stuff for the street smarts every day. And if you do something like that, it really is it's really close to my heart. And I'm just so happy and blessed that I've run up on such great students over these years. And now with it expanding and just getting great folks from all over. We got one of our board members, Javon, is in Boulder at Colorado, University of Colorado, Boulder. And so we're trying to get some stuff going in Denver. So we're going to be in Colorado. So it's just like, um, yeah, so this is something that means a lot to me. And I'm
Awesome.
just glad that folks like you see the vision and want to work on it. So thank
No,
you.
it's a beautiful. Like my friend told me about it and like the goal, and it's like this is super nice, super cool. And like from my background being in Colombia, seeing organization trying to help students to win, and like I've been part of it back when I was living over there, and again the mission was perfect. I like to help, and like again seeing so many people, like you learn from everyone have their own experience, they have their own story, like how they came, and so it's super nice. It's super nice. But so at the beginning, how do you reach out for students? Like when you create TSS, what was your way to
Oh no,
connect
we
with people?
froze. Okay, there we go. What did you say?
Oh,
Can
sorry.
you
Yeah,
repeat your question?
yeah. So I was saying, like at the beginning, how do you reach out or connect with students to join TSS? What was your way?
Well, initially, it was um, uh, it was word of mouth, but I met a lot of students at Diablo Valley College, which is a community college that has the highest transfer rate into UC Berkeley. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the students that I met initially were from DVC, and I would go to the finance clubs, and then but when I first started it, the first year It was, I think I'd mentioned to you that my son played basketball.
Yeah.
So it was made up of four of the originals had played basketball with my son. So that's how it got started. And later on, it was just referrals. And then when I started, this was a little bit before I started working with Wall Street Bound, I was finding students locally through LinkedIn. And then when I actually, the 3 years I was at Wall Street Bound, I just started finding students uh, online. And what happens is that there are algorithms. So when I start, let's just say that I started recruiting at San Diego State. And what I would do, I would get some people and then I would go into their profiles on their page. And if you're number one, first connect with them, you can see all of their connections. So I would
Mhm.
go through and so I started clicking and so that's how I did it. There's a method to the madness, but I think if LinkedIn really knew what I was doing, they probably would frown on it because you're supposed to know these people before you send them a connection. And if I waited for that, so, and right now, just so you know, they're not all students, but I have 11,000 connections on LinkedIn.
Wow.
A
Wow.
lot of them are students. And now I have, I get referrals from folks who have been in the program, and then they'll send me people, or they'll see the posts online. And it was just like Max that was here at the beginning. Max was friends, I think, with uh, Sean and Mirzad. So he kept showing up. He would, react. And I'm like, who is this person? So I finally connected with him and I said, come on, join us. And he did. And the rest is history. Like I said, man, he showed a lot of interest. And if I see that, I don't care who you are, what you look like, any of that. I want you on the
Yeah.
team. And so that's how Max and I met, like just about a year ago. Seems longer, but it was about a year ago.
That's amazing. Let's see. No, is I like the story you're saying, like how TSS was created. I joined recently the team, so like for me, it's just learning also in the way. But let's see. I see that you have a lot of on your background, but also with TSS, networking is super important. Like
Oh my God.
people,
Networking is what I tell people. Networking is so important. So let me just give you a couple of examples why I say that. When I first started this, I started to interact with the San Francisco CFA Society.
Mhm.
And this was before COVID. And so I started going to some of their events. And then I started bringing students with me and just started networking like crazy. And I ended up meeting um, this lady, this who now is the president of the Fed in San Francisco. But she had made this presentation at it's one of the CFA events, but she was the head economist then. And I had met a gentleman online. His name is Ron Taylor. At the time, he was head of the DEI at the Fed in New York, and he introduced me to his counterparts in San Francisco. So we got a tour set up. And so one of the things that I tell my students is you can't be scared, can't be scared. You got to go up to people. And so after the event, they had a reception, and I went up to her and I say, "Hey, we're going to be coming to your shop in a week, and I'd love for you to come and speak to the students." And it was funny because in order to get in, you had to have your driver's license to show who you were. And for
Mhm.
some reason, I lost my driver's license. I since found it, but I wouldn't be able to get in. And they said, well, is there anybody that can vouch for you? And so I said, well, I did meet Mary Daly and she vouched for me.
Wow.
And so when I got there, there's you can't have any cameras and uh, no phones, none of that. So we ended up, they inside of the Fed, of course, you get to go see all this money, which is never seen so much money in my life. Um, but we ended up going to they had this like museum of currency. And so that's where she met us. And she came down and actually spoke to us. And it was absolutely amazing. And then about 2 or 3 months after that, she became the president of the
Wow.
San Francisco Fed.
There's
And
something that's
occasionally I will see her, um, or I'll see a post that she does. But it's just, I tell that story about how she let me in because I wouldn't have gotten in. The students would have gone, but I
yeah,
wouldn't have got in. But she vouched for me.
definitely. No, there's something beautiful. I think of networking. Like since now starting my career here, I was like people like love to share, to give, like to give back, and like you connect with people and like from different industries and people
Oh,
who are open to share, learn. Something that I think as a students we don't think about it. We think like, oh, I should not talk. Like first we're scared, but it's like we don't want to bother. But like it's the opposite. People sometimes love to share what they learn.
well, Noah, you should have been with me last week. I was in New York last week for 4 days, and I ended up meeting with some of our students while I was there. But the big reason why I went is I had seen online on LinkedIn that there was the Black um, hedge fund professional group was them along with it was a alternative investment group, but it wasn't Kaya, but they were from England, and they were just having a networking event, and I saw that I was in person, and so I went to New York, and when I got there, man, I made so many connections that you guys will all be finding out about, but it's like they it was just amazing. But you couldn't just go and just like be a wallflower. You had to go in and really talk. And so I've taken students and things like that. I wish I could have gotten my boy Rick, who's our, the head of the junior board, because he and I have done these events before, and we're an awesome team together. So I am going to be coming down to San Diego, and we can go to the CFA events. I think it's every Wednesday they meet. So I'll take you along with some of
That
the
would be
other
amazing.
Diego people, and you can see how to operate. And
Yeah.
this is what you got to do, and this is for everybody is that you have to come up with a 30-second elevator pitch.
Hmm.
Who you are, what are you looking for? And the most important thing when you talk to people is get them to talk about themselves
Yeah,
because most people like to talk about themselves. And you can break the ice, and who knows where it might go.
definitely.
So
That's a good advice. Did you have a mentor that influenced you, either to create TSS
that's
back in
interesting.
college?
I did for a while. There was one of my board members introduced me to this guy named Bill Thomason, and he's originally from Detroit, but he was out in in Northern California, and he had started an organization where he was teaching. They were high school and college kids how to invest, and I hooked up with him and we talked and talked and talked. So he was one of my mentors. The second mentor was Jorge Mandrigal, who was the CEO for Pincera, and then Mike Wilkins, who is the managing director of Kingsford Capital. So those were my three mentors, and they all looked out for me, man. And so they gave back. So therefore, I give back to you guys. And hopefully, you'll turn around and you'll bring somebody up with you. And it's just
Yeah.
one of those things that just keeps going, man.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think to finalize, do you have advice for students right now that are going to finance?
I would say you just need to make sure what area of finance that you want and be realistic, because most students that I've talked to, they either want to go into investment banking, wealth management, or private equity.
Yeah.
And private equity is hard to get into. IB is hard to get into, but IB, they work your tail off. You're working 60 and 80-hour weeks, and that can be really hard on you. And so, what I tell students, and you get a good dose of it when you get an IB internship.
Mm-hmm.
But is it what you want to do? Most folks stay 2 to 3 years and then make their way, either get promoted up or they go into private equity. And if I was your age and was trying to figure out what do I want to do, I would go. I would go into the alternative investment area, and private equity is one of the um, alternative investments, along with venture capital, hedge funds, private credit, real estate, commodities, and intellectual property. Those are like the main ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally would love to do private equity. It's just, but you really have to know your balance sheets, because depending upon what side you're working on, either you're going out and going in and getting the money, and that's when you have to be able to discern the three different sheets, the balance, your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, and your cash flow analysis. And because you have to look at that, and if you're looking at firms to see if you want to recommend to the higher ups that you should invest, and you either go in as like a junior, um, uh, like the firm still has control, and you go in as a kind of like a junior partner. Really isn't the word, I can't think of what it is. Or you end up going in and taking over and bringing in your own culture into that business, and
Mm-hmm.
you decide what sector that you want to specialize in, because you can't do everything. But
Yeah.
in the Bay Area, we also have a lot of biomed. So those are a lot but there's so many different areas that you can get into with private equity.
Yeah.
Um,
What is?
so then you have to. So there's the buy side and the sell side, and so the thing with private equity is that you have an exit strategy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the exit strategy, you want to sell it, you know. Um, yeah, you want to sell it, or you might just keep them on as a subsidiary. But most of them have like a 4 to 5 year cycle, and then you know what your strategy is to get out, and those folks make a lot of money. So like,
Yeah. Your recommendation would be like doing an internship in these different fields in finance and try to look
because
what is.
there's so many different areas, Noah, in
Yeah.
finance. I mentioned the private equity and the IB, but man, you've got ETFs, you have all these different asset classes. You
Yeah.
even have folks that go into finance that want to be financial planners, which is that's pretty important. Maybe you have your own organization that you do. I know very recently, Max did an interview with Jermaine Carter, who has his own wealth management company, and he's doing extremely well and he's extremely busy. Or you can go to, a wealth management company like let's see, like a Charles Schwab or whatever. Um, and there's just so much. Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, they all have wealth management areas.
Yeah.
So there's so many different careers. You have to kind of line up what you do. And then the thing about being on the West Coast where you are and where I am is that the market opens up at 9:30 Eastern time.
Yes.
Guess what? That's 6:30 California time. And so you're up at 3:30 or 4 making your way into the office, and then you have meetings before the market opens. But you're getting off, probably 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then
Yeah.
you just start it all over again. So,
And how do you see TSS helping a student getting in finance?
oh man, we provide so many different I would say resources for students. We have our boot camp which is student led, where at least right now we're getting ready to start a value fund, where folks will be able to get in and then choose their own sector to work in. So we provide that. We provide things. We have speakers. We do what they call lunch and learns, where we take students actually into these companies, and they'll sponsor us for lunch, but they'll have panels of different people. And I actually kicked that off when I was still working with Wall Street Bound, and we did our first lunch and learn in New York, which I helped to bring together. And we had a lot of students from New York, and then I brought it out to San Francisco after that. So, and I did one of those last November in Boston at Fidelity, and hopefully we'll be doing more of those. And so make my way down. I think I'll probably do one at HCAP Partners, which is where it's a private equity firm that my guy Ben Consoli is a VP at now. So, like right now, I'm here in Texas, and so I'm going to be meeting with firms and just trying to establish those relationships. I'm going down to Austin tomorrow. So I'm constantly on the move, but what I know now because of my junior board that I can venture out because it felt like I was a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But I know what I'm the best at, and that is meeting people and mentoring my students. That's what I do best.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And how do you recommend students to reach out and join TSS?
Well, couple of different ways. We're on LinkedIn under the Street Smarts. We have an Instagram, which I believe Max works on.
Correct. Yes.
And then we have Facebook, and then we have our website, and we have we have a newsletter that we do. I think 3 times a week. There's the main newsletter, which is on Fridays, and you can go to our website and you can get signed up, or you can send any of us a email. I'm Michael at thestreetsmarts.org, and I'm assuming Noah, you're Noah at thestreetsmarts.org. I know Max is Max at thestreetsmarts.org, and just say, hey, I'm interested. We'll send you a link to our registration form. And then we'll invite you to come to a junior board meeting. And if it's something that you want to do, we encourage the students to find a cohort that they want to do. And we've got about 5 or 6 of them now.
Yes.
Different cohorts. And it looks like you're in the marketing area.
Correct. Yeah. Not only finance students, can be also in different fields, marketing.
Oh, yes. We have people that know nothing about finance, but they have marketing skills,
yes,
which is great. Because you know what? These companies that have that make ETFs, somebody has to sell those. Somebody has to market those.
Correct. Yes.
So marketing in finances is great. You know.
Yeah, it's a skill that you use for the TSS to connect with people, bring students here. Is true. Yeah, that's something that is beautiful of TSS. Like we have so many opportunities. I'm mainly a marketing major. I have minor in finance, but I joined the marketing development and working now on the Instagram, now the podcast. So yeah, many opportunities for students. But Michael, thank you so much. This
Oh,
was
you are welcome, and I know you haven't been with the team long, but welcome,
thank you.
and I look forward to seeing you on more podcasts. And
We'll see.
somewhere out there, Max is listening. Max, you can come back on if you can, and there he is, Max. Noah's a keeper. So thank you, and this has been great. So thank you for inviting me to the podcast. This was fun because I've seen you guys do it with other folks. So it's
No,
great to be asked.
we need a CEO at least. We have to learn your story. How do you create CSS? It's super important. Like also students can learn from your paths and seeing that you study finance 36 years or 26 years later, you use your major, like you start marketing. That was not your major at some point. Like it's super interesting to see that a degree doesn't stop your career and you can use the degree at any point in your life.
Yes, you can. You can.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much, Michael.
well, thank you. And Max, thank you, buddy, for all
Absolutely.
that you do.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode today, and have a great rest of your day.